my name is Raquel and we are here at Beads of Courage. I'm going to go through how to make a bear bead with you guys. So I'm just going to start out by opening up our box to see what we have inside for our supplies. So we have these community art cards that are included with your kit, and you'll draw pictures and write inspirational messages on these to accompany your beads. We also have a really cute little sample for you so that you'll kind of see what the finished product of our bead will look like. And we have some tools for you while you're making your beads. So we have rolling pins to help you roll out your beads. And we also have clay to make your beads. We have a couple of different colors. You have a light brown, you got black clay, and then you have this brown clay, which is going to be the main base of your bear beads. And you have enough supplies in here to make 24 beads. And you also have some tools. So you have some little paintbrushes, some toothpicks. You also have a plastic knife for cutting the clay. And we included some beads, which are going to be the eyeballs of your bears. And then to bake everything, we included a tray. And you have a little accordion file, which is where you'll rest all of your beads before you bake them. And last but not least, and the most important part, is your work surface, which is where you'll go ahead and make all of your beads. And we will go ahead and get started now that we have all the supplies. To get started on making our bear bead, we're going to get the base of our bear. So inside of your pack, there are 3 kits of this brown clay. What you're gonna do before you get started to parse out your 24 bears is you're going to go ahead and open up one of the packs, which I already did here. And you're going to take the plastic knife that comes in your kit, and you'll just go ahead and cut the pack right down the center. And the best way to cut the clay is if you just do a slow rocking motion back and forth until you reach the bottom. You'll cut that nice. So now that we have our clay all cut up, there's 8 squares. So to go ahead and get started on making my bear, I'm going to pull out 1 square. An important thing to do before getting started on your bead is to condition the clay. So it's going to be pretty hard to work with when you first take it out of the package. You'll want to take some time to work it between your fingers so that you get it to a manageable resistance as you're working through it. So this might take about 30 seconds to a minute. You'll just want to warm it up, so we'll do that. And once your clay is easier to work with, the first step in making our bead is actually going to be to roll it into a ball. So you'll go ahead and make sure to get it as smooth as you possibly can. So you can roll it between your hands. That's what I like to do, but if it's easier for you, you can roll it on a table. You can even use your work surface if you want to just roll it there to get a nice smooth ball. So now what we're going to do is we're going to flatten this into essentially a pancake. You can pick if you want this to be more round or more oval. It really depends what you want your bear to look like. You want it to be about 3/8 of an inch thick, which is about probably a quarter of the way of the very tip of your finger. And once you have that flattened out, you'll also just want to take your fingers and make sure to smooth out all of the edges to make sure that there's no cracks in your clay. And once you have a good shape to that, we're going to do the first step, which is making the ears of the bear. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take our index fingers. If you have nails, be careful and kind of keep your fingers up so that your nails don't dig into the clay. And you'll want to go at about 6 o'clock on one side and about 9 o'clock on the other side and push down till you get about 1/2 inch thinner. And you'll see there, now you have a nice little shape of ears here. So once you're done pushing down those bear ears with your fingers, this is what you're gonna have on your clay bead here. So you'll see there's little indents on both sides that look like ears, or the beginning of ears. So to make them more defined, what you're going to do is you're gonna take out your paintbrush tool that comes in your kit, and you're just gonna go ahead and run along the edges of the ears to smooth them out and shape them. It also helps too if you want to go ahead and use your fingers as well to smooth out the edges and shape the ears. And you'll see there we have nice ear shapes. And the next step is going to be to make our hole in our bead, which is the most important step. So these beads do get stranded onto the bead necklaces of the children in our program, so we want to make sure that there's a hole that goes through and through the bead that will be able to be strung. So the most important step in doing this is to make sure it goes all the way through from the bottom to the top, and we use a toothpick. So you'll want to carefully remove your bead from the surface, and if you start at the top and slowly twist the toothpick and go about halfway, and be careful when you do this. There's sometimes where the toothpick might stray from where you're trying to go and pop out of the bead on one side or the other. If that happens, just pull back and start again. So you'll see I have a top part of the hole here, and I'm going to go ahead and go from the bottom of the bead now in the center, and it might take a couple of tries for you to go back and forth before you get a complete hole. So we put the toothpick through, so we just want to make sure that we have a really good hole, so you can put it through one more time. And from here on forward, we will be keeping our bead on the toothpick as we make the rest of the bear. And if you want to just make sure that everything is all smoothed out, so you'll see as I put the toothpick in, I got a little crack here, so you can just take the back of your paintbrush and you can smooth out any little imperfections that come along in your bead as you're working with it. So now we're going to work on the muzzle of the bear. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and use a 1/4 teaspoon. We ideally want 1/8 of a teaspoon of clay, so if you have that on hand for more of an exact count of clay, that's great. If not, you can just kind of work with what you have like I'm doing here. We're now going to take the lighter colored clay, which is going to make the muzzle of the bear. So we'll pull it out. And just like you did with the brown clay, you're also going to want to condition the clay before you work with it. And once this is all smoothed out, you'll want to just take some of it and place it in until you get about 1/8 of a teaspoon. So for me, that'll be about half of this guy, just to measure it out. So see there, that's about half. So I'll take this out. And now this will be the clay that I used for the muzzle. So to make the muzzle, you'll want to do the same thing we did with the head. So you'll just want to roll it into a ball. And once you have it into your ball, we're actually just going to flatten the bottom. So the way to do this is to just push it down on your work surface. And then you'll want to just re-round the top so you get kind of a dome shape with this. And just make sure to smooth everything out. And once you are happy with your muzzle, you'll go ahead and take it and you'll press it down on the bottom half of your bear. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and define the bear ears and add the eyes to the bear. So what you'll want to do for this is take your paintbrush tip again, and you'll go on the inside of the ear, and you'll just kind of go through and make divots for the inner ear on both sides. And you can work through this whichever way you think looks best. If you want big divots, small divots, circular, semicircle, however you want your ears to be. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the muzzle of the bear. His very tip, he's got to put a nose on him. So we're going to take this black clay here, and we're gonna take out a very small pinch amount. This we don't have an exact measurement for, but you'll wanna take out just enough, and you can kind of estimate when you take out the ball and try to place it on the tip just to show if it's gonna be a good size, and that looks like it'll be a good size, so we'll work with this one. So just like you did with the rest of the bear, you'll wanna roll it and smooth it out. And then just like we did the muzzle, once you have it at a good smooth consistency, you'll flatten it and make a little dome. So the next step will be to go ahead and take your toothpick on your formed nose, and you'll go ahead and push down. Once you're completed with your nose, you'll just go ahead and press it on top of the muzzle, and then it should look like so. And now that we have most of the head of the bear complete, all our bear is missing now is eyes and some facial expression. So what we'll do now is we will take this paintbrush and we'll determine where we want our bear eyes. And once you have that spot, you'll go ahead and just make little craters. You're going to pull out our bag of beads, which will be our eyes. So you'll want to take 2 out of there. These can be a little tricky. They might get lost. Keep an eye on them. The easiest way to do this is to take your toothpick and hook the eye onto the tip of your toothpick like this, and then place it in the crater as carefully as you can. and you can use your finger to push it off of the toothpick. And you'll want to use your finger to push the eye as far as you can into the bear. This part is very important because we don't want the eyes to fall out. So you'll want to push it in as much as you can with your finger. So we have our bear eyes now. When you initially make your bear head, you'll want to parse out a small amount of clay, enough for about 2 rice-sized pieces for the eyelids. I forgot to do that, but just like in real life, you can always just improvise and pull some from another block. So we'll have a very small amount, and what you'll want to do is roll it out like I've rolled out everything. This is easier to do on the work surface. Kind of like when you're younger rolling a snake out in Play-Doh. You'll want to do that, but just on a much smaller scale. And once you have this, you'll go ahead and take 2 rice-sized pieces, and you'll want to set them over the eyes the best you can. They're a little hard to get on there, but once you do it. Okay, and you'll see here, so we have 1 eyelid, and you can kind of put these wherever you want, as far as from the corner of the eye on the inside, on the outside, to show more expression in your bear. And then we'll go ahead and put the second eyelid on, and you'll just want to press that over the eye there. So now we have both eyelids on our bear. Now for the very final step, it's to add some expression to your bear. And you have him lined up. You're going to take your toothpick and you're going to make a line. The best way to do this is to just push down in a back and forth motion. You have the starting of the mouth of your bear, and from here you have some creative freedom to make your bear's expression. You can either use this toothpick and you can press through a smile on the bear. You can make him sleepy and put more of a straight face on the bear, or you can take your paintbrush, which is what I like to do. You can take the tip of it, in a circular motion, twist down, and you can have your bear have a little surprised face. And you can make that as big or as small as you'd like. Now that your bear bead is completed, you will go ahead and remove it from your work surface. And you can take the toothpick out, and you'll see you have a hole through and through. You will take out your baking tray and place your first bear on there to then place in your bead oven. You can go ahead and fill this up with as many beads as you can, so you could probably fit about 3 bears per row. Go ahead and stick that in your bead oven for 15 minutes. And once it's all done, you should have a bear that looks like this. Once your bead comes out of the oven, you will also do the final step, which is to take the community art cards that came in your kit, and you can draw a photo or write a message that will be packaged alongside your bead once it gets to us here at Beads of Courage to go to one of the children in our program as a Member's Choice bead. Thank you so much for joining us and learning how to make a bear bead and a saguaro bead. We really appreciate you taking the time to learn this, as we here at Beads of Courage currently are in need of some more polymer beads, so we appreciate you and your families taking some of your extra time to donate to us, and we hope that you really have a lot of fun making these beads.
Beads make it better.